your purpose. Your misery is your ministry. Your pain is your purpose. Your suffering is your service. Your mess becomes your message. Your test becomes your testimony. God allows us to hurt to heal others because you cannot heal what you cannot feel. So don't let the pain of your past punish your present and paralyze your progress and purpose. Good morning, I'm Michelle from Turnaround Tuesday. And right now, what speaks to me, what resonates for me is suffering is your service. Many of us have lost family members during this time. And we can sit in that suffering, or we can turn that suffering into service for others. So it's my goal to turn my suffering and all the suffering of other people into the service that we can provide for those people who are still here. Thank you. Michael, what are your thoughts about that?
Wow, thank you, Michelle. The part that speaks to me is your pain is your purpose. One of my biggest tests and pain has been the loss of my father. It's interesting that I'm smiling, but it wasn't funny. In as much as I was saddened and devastated by this passing, it really did open my eyes to many things. My father was a man who loved people and understood that life was just not about taking care of one's immediate family, but also he believed in stretching forth your hand to helping others. He will always say to me that people whom we help will always go on to pass on the help to others, thereby changing the world slowly and making it a better place. His deeds and sayings have had a profound influence on my life. I always ask myself, when caught in certain situations, that what would my father do? My answer is always to help others, just like he would do. This is where my love for people, the need to help others, comes from. My dad's death, which was a huge pain in my life, has now become my purpose. That constantly reminds me to help others, no matter their race, origin, sex, just to make the world a better place. John, how does this relate to you?
Thank you, Michael. I had a very similar reaction and was also thinking about the pain being my purpose. Recently, unfortunately, I lost a very close family member to COVID-19. The pain of that loss has allowed me to relate to so many people that are experiencing the same pain that we can relate to. The pain has fueled my efforts to help everyone I can during these challenging times. We are all in this together. Melvin, maybe you can update us around this theme, Turnaround Tuesday, doing this together.
Thank you so much, John. And first of all, our condolences to you and your family during this time. You will continue to be in our prayers as everyone else who has suffered a loss during this time. Hello, Turnaround Tuesday. I just want to provide an update on something that I've been talking about for the last several weeks, the food distribution. As you know, Build and Turnaround Tuesday have been working with one of our anchor institutions, Johns Hopkins, to provide food for families from Turnaround Tuesday and other parts of the city. This is real now. It's actually going to start tomorrow. Our team has reached out to many of you guys, and several, around 50 people, have committed to receiving the food. So we'll start tomorrow. You should receive a phone call from someone on staff to make sure that you're home. The deliveries will be sometime between 8 and 11 a.m. tomorrow. And then next week, we'll get 2 deliveries, one on Wednesday and one on Thursday. Thursday, we're going to add a produce drop. So we're looking forward to this. We're excited about this. This should last about 15 to 16 weeks. So again, if you weren't included, I'm not sure if there will be an opportunity to be included, but we do have other things that we're working on. Just let someone on the team know, and we will let you know if that's possible. So Bree, can you update us on what's going on in the operations side?
Can I just say for a second, Melvin, I don't think there are more opportunities for people to get additional boxes, but maybe we can create some sort of waiting list for those who are really in need.
Sure.
I just want to really make it
right.
clear.
What I was referencing
the max state. Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up. I was talking about other opportunities outside of this one. So thank you for clearing that up.
Absolutely.
Correct. Yes. Well, good morning, our Turnaround Tuesday family. It's me, Bree. I hope this message finds everyone well,
wearing their mask and practicing their social distancing. I want to let everyone know that the jobs team and the awareness team, which is consists of our whole staff, is working diligently, are keeping you up to date with what's going on, especially during this COVID-19 period. We are working so hard. Currently, we have, in week 5, we have 12 people who've become employed, and we have 8 people tentatively waiting for start dates. So yes, we have jobs, we have resources, and let's re-emphasize the resources. Should you need assistance with the stimulus, unemployment, mental health referrals, and as Melvin mentioned, for food, please reach out to us. And as always, please stay safe. And next up is Cheryl with our spiritual vitamin.
Thank you, Bree. As Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. I would like to share a story with you. I am sitting in Penn Station. It's 2010, a few days before Thanksgiving. And my brother is sitting across the table from me. His face shows he's hit yet another bottom in a hard struggle with alcohol and recovery. And we've hit an impasse. A wall is forming between us. He doesn't want to go back into a program, and he tells me he needs to do this on his own. And I feel despair and lost as a sister with little left inside me to support him. So he's getting on a train to stay with other family members. And I remember distinctly sliding my hand across this round table, sticky with spilled coffee, and drawing an imaginary line between us. I look at him and say with a trembling voice, "This is my line. I will be on this side, and I need you to stay on that side unless you're ready to go back into recovery." He looks back at me and says in a very tired voice, "I understand." It was one of the more heartbreaking moments of my life. I could see that my brother carried a story in him that was raw and painful, but it was his story to tell, and he had to decide how to tell it. Our family wrapped ourselves around him, but sometimes his pain was just too great for us to touch. Well, over time, my brother found a way to talk about some of what he carried inside, and he did find a way to stabilize and build a life, but it was fragile. He always seemed to hold so much inside. He's gone now from cancer, but the last weeks of his life, we all were blessed as he connected with friends and family he'd lost along the way. We even got to see that wonderful humor come back, and we laughed together over some things we'd not talked about for a long time. I did see a small lightening of his load. And I often think now, what is it that allows one person to lay down their burdens and let light in? And for so many of us, it's hard to find our way out. So I want to close with drawing on another quote from Isaiah, which is from my own Christian tradition. And when I think of and what I wish for all of us, when we feel lost in our own stories, or we feel shame, or we just don't feel like we're enough for this world. I will not cause pain without allowing something new to born, says the Lord. And that's from Isaiah. So can we take our hardest stories and learn to voice them? Tell them in a way that releases their hold on us. It's hard, but maybe it's the only way we get to move through them, to be made new. So how do these quotes affect you, Thomas?
Well, Cheryl, what I heard in your story was that you and your brother hit a wall. Well, that resonated with me because I had hit a wall a time or two myself. The biggest wall was real, and it had a profound impact in my life. It happened when I was hustling, and my actions literally landed me behind the prison walls. In those first few nights in the cell, they were devastating. I never forget the smell of people living way too close to each other. I never forget the sounds of the prison house, the jingling keys and the doors slamming and the people yelling. It literally shook me to my core. I knew that night that although I was given a life sentence, that this was no way going to be the end of my story. And so over the years, I worked hard to try to understand what got me there. I did a lot of self-reflection, introspection, and I found a way to recover. I found a way to rediscover who I was meant to be. But that's my story. What about you, Rebecca? What do you think?
Thanks, Thomas. The stories that I tell about my experience shape how I understand them, so learning how to share them and in which context is important to me. One of the best feelings is when I get something off my chest that I've been worried about for a while, only to realize that the person next to me knows exactly what I'm going through. At the same time, holding on to something heavy that no one else knows about can be so overwhelming and, in the end, pointless. It has been a relief to have friends and family who I can confide in during this pandemic and our quarantine about anxieties and hopes for the future. So, Terrell, it seems like we all need some techniques for telling our stories. What do you have for us today?
Well, thanks so much, Rebecca. The impact of stories. Cheryl's story, a little bit about John's story. It puts me in a place, and that's what stories does. Stories move us. So hi, Turnaround Tuesday. I'm Terrell, and I want to share with you today, we want to share with you the importance of storytelling, even in trying to get a job. Storytelling really allows us, one, to relate to other people. It's an opportunity to relate. And the other thing a good story does, thank you, Cheryl, it moves us emotionally, like Cheryl's story just did for me. It's a way of connecting our pain sometimes, right? Especially in a moment like this, we have a common pain that we're all sharing, we're all going through. And there'll be many, many stories that'll come out of this unknown period for all of us. Stories also make us very, very interesting. So I want you to take a moment to just think, why are stories so important? Why do we spend $3 billion plus every year going to the movies? Because the movies is nothing more than someone's story. That's all it really is, right? Also, scientists say to us about stories that unlike anything else you talk to people about, there's a little place in the brain that lights up when people hear a good story as if they're actually doing the thing. And I think you've done it before. I know I have. Think about it. You're at the movie theater, right? You're watching this great movie, and you know that you have no script of the movie. You know you've been to no rehearsals. Nobody's sending you no money, but still you are engaged in that movie and you're telling people what to do and what to look out for and don't go in there and come out of here. And you're a part of the movie because stories allows us to be a part of something. Stories does many, many different things for us. It tells us how people act. It can tell about a person's personality, how they feel. It could tell you whether they're a responsible person or not based on the other end of the story. What did they learn? Right? A good story in an interview, I mean, think about it for a minute. In many of our interviews, we're asked the same kind of questions. Who are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Tell me something about yourself. Think about Cheryl's story. What can we get? What do we know about Cheryl based on the story she just told us? I don't know about you, but for me, the one thing that I know is Cheryl knows how to say, stop. I cannot continue to enable you. In order to help you, you have to make some decisions. And as she drew the line on the table, do you sort of see a line? Do you sort of visualize this round table and these two people who love each other, and one trying to help and the other trying to receive help? What did we learn about her brother? That he understood his sister. He understood throughout the process that Cheryl is one of those people. She'll give you as much help as she can, but she's not going to carry you, and she will draw a line. So a story is a place where it can tell you a little bit about the person more than someone asking a question in an interview. Tell me about yourself. Well, I'm nice, I'm kind, I can really make decisions. What if you just use Cheryl's story? It suggests that she's patient, she's calm, she knows how to make decisions, even when they're very, very difficult. So stories can be learning instruments or learning tools. Stories can be used as a source of healing people. Stories can be used in just engaging people for entertainment, right? And our argument today is stories can really also be used in that interview to get a job, because if I hear 30 people in a day in an interview, it is the person who told the story that I will remember. So let's take the moment and go through what are the mechanics of a story, right? One, stories have sensory details. You can visualize them. There are smells and feelings. In Cheryl's story, in John's story, you can visualize what's happening. They brought the story to life for us. Two, thanks, Michael. Stories have characters, right? Who were the characters in Cheryl and John's story? Who were those people that we remember?
Thomas is great.
You know I am. When I'm not with people, I am totally disjointed. Think in Thomas's story.
Yeah.
Did you hear the keys? Thank you, Cheryl. Did you hear the keys shaking?
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear the door slam? Could you smell that Thomas was talking about of humans being just a little too close? That's what stories does to us. They bring us closer to each other so that we can share ourselves with the world. Next, stories have a personality. What did you learn from Thomas? What kind of personality do you think he has? When he walked in that jail cell the first day, did he fall out and cry and say, I'm going to be here forever and I'm just doomed?
He's strong.
Or did he cry? Or did he cry and boo-hoo and say, I got to find a way? What's that, John? He said, I got to find a way out of this. Then I have to find, my brain can't survive this. This is inhuman for me. He helped us understand in his story that he had to find another way to survive, although he had been given a life sentence. Somebody said, your life is over. And his story, he said, no, it is not. I just have to redefine my life. You can't take my life. And I'm going to redefine it. I'm going to survive through this. And many of our stories, those untold stories, through that quote of Maya Angelou that Cheryl shared with us, those untold stories can be used as instruments for other people, or if we keep them to ourselves, they can destroy us. So I like to end today with a story of my own. Oh, I did miss one other part, this part.
Humor.
Yeah, and so you'll notice even in our stories, we find places to laugh. Because as we said, characteristics of a leader is that idea that we're dealing with very serious things. Our stories are very serious. And in them, we have to find a slice of humor because we have to live to fight another day. And our stories really are an extension of our fight. So as Michael has shown us, so I won't mess this up again, there were the 5 mechanics of a story. And then every single story has a beginning, middle, and an end, right? The beginning is the setting, the tension, the climax, and then the conclusion, which we say is the learning. What is the learning of the story, right? And so in the beginning, it is where did this thing take place? The middle is the meat, where Cheryl talked about drawing the line and them coming up to a consensus. And the end is we understand that consensus. Cheryl understands where he is, her brother, meaning her brother, and she understands where he is. And in Thomas's story, Thomas understands that I've got to make a shift. And that's his resolution. So I like to end this with my own story that just happened to me on Sunday. I too, this has been a very, very difficult period for my own family where, my cousin and her husband was stricken with the virus and she survived and unfortunately he didn't. And she and I were talking on the phone and we're discussing, how she's going to reinvent herself. And we're talking about old times, because she and I, we've been close since I was 4 years old. We actually lived in the same building for 12 years. And at some point she said to me, oh, I got to send you this picture. I got to send you this picture. And she sends this picture to me. And it really stopped me in my tracks. It was a picture of him and her, and they were dressed beautifully. They looked wonderful. They looked happy and all those things. And I had not really mourned his death. I was trying to really work with her and help her every single day. And in that moment, I just broke. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I'll call you back. And I hung up the phone, and I had my moment with him. And there are 3 words that I always say to him, and they are something like, with your fat something. And I won't discuss the last word. But I'm looking at this picture, and he's taking up the whole frame of the picture, and she's just stuck on his shoulder. And I just fell out laughing. And I called her right back immediately, and we laughed for the next hour, because he was always about laughter. He was always the joke of the party. And he left me with that gift in that picture. And so every time I see that picture, and I looked at it 4 or 5 times since, and every single time I laugh. So stories keep us connected to the real person. And I'll always remember him as a jokester. Thank you all so much. And let's see what your story will be. After this is over, what story will you tell? Michelle?
Thanks, Terrell, and thanks everyone who shared a story about themselves. Some of these stories were difficult to hear, but most of them had lots of great lessons that we needed to learn. This week, we're going to revisit unemployment process. Many people have spoken about their struggles and their frustrations with the unemployment process, and rightfully so. This is an archaic system that has been around for a really long time, and is really not built to have all of the requests that it's been having in the past few weeks. Many people have reached out to me and let me know that they received the letters in the mail, and some of the information in the letters is very, very confusing. Most of the letters are just asking you either for further information to verify your identity, or saying that your application is on a waiting list of some sort, and it usually has some instructions to follow up with. If there's any questions about that, there is a hotline number. I will provide that on the website in our recent resources, so that everyone can go ahead and take a look at that and see where they are in the process. Please don't give up. I know that it's, again, very frustrating, and there's lots of things that are confusing about this time, but this is one of the things that you really just need to stick in there with and see through to the end. Also, many people are asking questions about mental health issues and or concerns and medication. We'll also provide some information about that on the website in terms of the best places to reach out to get medication if you need it. A lot of the Walgreens and CVS's are also overloaded with prescription refill requests. So again, just patience. Please making sure not to wait till the end so that you're reaching out for your medication when you have no more. All right, so finally, making sure that you are creative and keeping your masks on so that you can spend this time at home very successfully. Thanks, everyone.
Can I throw in one public health message? I've been reading a lot about people not calling their doctors about other health issues not related to the virus, and people just staying at home because they're afraid. If you have heart conditions or any of the things that we know that people are ill with, please contact your physician. If you don't have a physician, we have some hotlines to refer you to. But do not ignore medical conditions that are unrelated to the virus, because those are things that are equally important to address now, and doctors are available to respond to that.
Can I also add that if in fact you do have appointments you need to get to and there are barriers, please reach out to us. Reach out to Michelle. If you have transportation problems or PPE, you don't have a mask or you don't have gloves, whatever those issues are, please let us know. Do not let those barriers keep you from being healthy.
JC, you got a prayer. Thank you.
Yes, I do. Good. Hello, Turnaround Tuesday. You know that we honor all walks of faith and religion here, so I'm going to pray, and you can pray to whomever you believe. And if you do not pray, that's fine with us as well. Dear most gracious and heavenly Father, thank you. Just would like to take the time to just keep saying thank you for keeping us, guiding us, and letting us know that you're still in the presence with us through this trying time for everyone. I just would like for you to keep giving everyone the strength to make it through the day and to even make it through the night. Because that's sometimes when your days get dark and weary, you need more strength at night. And always remember to fall asleep with a dream and wake up with a purpose and have a great day on purpose. Forever I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, guys. The gratitude jar. Don't forget. This is my note for this week. I'm grateful for everything. All right. And also,
got your check.
I've got my check.
Yeah, okay.
I am so grateful.
We are also grateful for you, Turnaround Tuesday. We love you. We can't wait to see you. But today's exercise is going to be a little Terrell, it's easy. Today, we're just going to go left, right, up, and down.
Okay.
Open, close, up, and down. Let's do 10. Just 10. Turnaround Tuesday. Let's go. Left, right, up, and down. Left, right, up, and down.
All right.
Left, right.
Hope you're doing that at home.
Left, right, up, and down. One last one.
Oh,
and that's it. Thank you so much.